I love sim racing. Coming into it is such a personal experience, and the way that I went to sim racing is pretty much different from everybody else's, and likely it will be the same for you as well. You don't need to come into sim racing following the same hoops as everybody else. It doesn't need to be GT3 or hypercar driving or Formula One driver because you see everybody doing the same thing around. So today I'm going to show you a few of the ways that actually got me started into sim racing and started me enjoying more of the sim racing as a genre. But before going there, a massive thank you to all the viewers and subscribers. Without you, this would be possible. And I'm also trying to get 100,000 subscribers. Hopefully it's not too long. If you could press like and subscribe, that will be a huge help. Thank you so much. Despite to all the haters and detractors will say, Gran Turismo is one of the biggest gateways into sim racing and Forza as well, arguably much more than every other sim racing game combined, and this was basically no exception for me. And I came into sim racing not just because I wanted to drive GTE cars or whatever it was back then in 2005 that existed for racing. It was because I actually love road cars. I love the BNR R34 GTR N1 that is on top. You know, all the hot version stuff. What Gran Turismo does better than anyone else, and with Power Pack it's actually even better, even though we don't need really Power Pack to enjoy what I'm going to say, is to show the love of cars from the most simple car. You know, it can be something like a Fiat Panda that they added, or could be something like this, like an 80s shitbox, like an A86. Or it can be, you know, a Formula car or a Group C car, something of the likes. This game will have it. And you can experience this in many, many ways. With road cars, you can tune the cars, you can build the cars, or you can just keep them stock and go for a little drive at Nordschleife. I think Gran Turismo, in Gran Turismo 7 now, does it better than any other game because it shows the racing in the cars, not just from a perspective, you know, of GT3s at Spa, and they do that as well with their Group 3 cars, but also through their love of showing the engineering behind the cars, the stories. They talk about a lot of the stories of the cars with the menus, even though sometimes it's a bit of, you know, fart sniffing. But they show it. They show the knowledge of it. They show how much they care about the stories of the cars, and that is really important for me. And it's something that is getting lost because I feel like most cars nowadays are basically just ticks in boxes, and the love of building a car, the love of driving a car is getting lost. And games like Gran Turismo 7 actually preserve them. But remember, sim racing is not just about circuit driving. It can be many types of racing, and that also includes point-to-point, and with games like Assetto Corsa, it can be whatever you want. In this case, I'm weaving out a little bit by driving Assetto Corsa at Akina Downhill or Montaruno, whatever it is. Driving the 80 shitbox and enacting my little bit of initial B goodness. Every so often I go to Toge Life or to Initial GG to race a little bit, as he stops there, to race a little bit, because it is fun. It's a very dynamic way to drive. And also, believe it or not, as a side note, this is an excellent way to test wheelbases, because it gives you all the information, and if a wheelbase is good, it's able to extract all of that. Same with pedals. So that's a side note. But what I like about this, besides, you know, when I started doing YouTube, it was exactly with this type of content using VR, is that Toge is more dynamic than circuit driving, because there's many ways to approach it. It's not just about, you know, defense and attack. There's more than that. There's ways you can drive a car. You can drive a car on a grip. You can defend with the car going a little bit sideways to use more space in a corner. You can attack in many ways. And these cars are more related to very bad Miatas, like especially this one, which such a bad rear suspension in this mod, or in this model they use in Assetto Corsa. So you'll really have to learn. This is a car that really wants you to learn about it, and will actually teach you the very basics of driving, in many ways trying to exploit your slip angle as much as possible, understanding the basics of, braking, because there's no ABS in this, there's no traction control in this, the basics of grip, the basics of actually how to enact a line through such a difficult road like this one is, and also more advanced stuff like heel and towing, if you really need to defend, the way that you can transfer the weight in the corners to make the car go sideways, which gear you're gonna select, if you're gonna go around, if you want to make sure that you actually go sideways on a corner, because sometimes sideways can be better, especially if somebody wants to attack the interior line. So there's many things. I love this because of how dynamic it is compared to circuit driving. Circuit driving is nice, but oftentimes stuff like this is what makes sim racing special. Lately, my thing actually has been this Assetto Corsa Rally. What a wonderful experience! And speaking of cars that really made you love racing and cars, this one and the Pontiac Firebird kit were both of them. The Evo 2 essentially cemented my love for cars and my love for hot hatches. This was from a very early age. And that's, I think, a good thing. And for Assetto Corsa Rally, what a pleasant surprise, isn't it? Compared to all the damages, the war crimes that happened in November for sim racing, I think Assetto Corsa Rally was definitely something that needed to happen. Now, Assetto Corsa Rally really teaches you that you don't need to follow what everybody else is doing with GT3s and all of that. Rally is good enough. Rally is actually really popular, has been popular in sim racing for a long while, but that also tells you that you don't need to follow what everybody else is doing. Sim racing is your personal experience, and I can tell you that you don't really need to drive just the GT3s that are incredibly popular. In real life, one of the best classes to drive, or to actually watch, is the MX-5 spec. Very, very popular, probably the best races you're gonna see, fighting until basically from the start until the end, and you can have that in Assetto, not Assetto, but also Assetto. You can have that in sim racing as well. You can have it in iRacing, Assetto Corsa, Assetto Corsa Evo. Those are really, really nice cars to drive. They're fun, and the driving is really, really close. So that really tells you everything you know or need to know about sim racing. It's your personal experience. These are some of the things that I enjoy in sim racing, some of my experiences. I came into sim racing because of Gran Turismo Prologue back in the day, many, many years ago. And your experience might be similar. You don't need to follow the trends. You don't need to drive GT3s at Spa, because if you don't like it, there's really no point pushing yourself into liking it. Sim racing has so much. It can be as curated and still quite wide, like Gran Turismo 7 and Forza, even though people will say, experts on the internet will say, it's not real sim racing. Tell them to shove it. Or it can be something as wide and crazy as you can have in Assetto Corsa and also in BMG. It is definitely about you. Sim racing is not about what other people drive. It's what you want to experience. And if you want to experience GT3 at Spa, that is okay as well. Tell me in the comments what type of combinations, what type of driving you enjoy. And also, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time.